Yes, we live.
Perfect. Perfect. Episode number 55.
Here we go.
We are slowly and steadily heading towards the 100, the 100. So it is what it is.
Zero.
Free flowing Saturday, episode number 55. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful Saturday. I normally say any day where you are not ill is a beautiful day.
That's
A
for
day
sure.
when
That's
you are
for
not
sure.
ill. We do not operate on the basis of things happening your way or things happening uh, the way you want or things going not going the way you want. No, I don't have a contract that says, "Hey, Brian, in this world everything will happen the way you want it to happen." No, there's no such contract. There's no. I don't have a binding document with the world. So I take what lands on my lap, and if it is in my favor, I run with it. If it is not in my favor, I try to make an advantage out of the disadvantage. We normally say you either win or you learn. Don't say win or lose. Say
Mhm.
win or learn. And
Win or learn. Yeah.
yes, some of these
It's good.
losses. Hmm?
I was talking to someone yesterday and
Hmm.
I realized how words are so powerful.
Hmm.
Um, and it's a good choice of words that you've just picked.
Yeah,
Instead of
either
a
win or
win,
learn.
lose,
Hmm.
it's a win and learn. It's
Yeah.
always good when you're speaking to yourself
Hmm.
to be very positive, right? Because we tend to be sort of so
I
hard on
see.
ourselves. I
We
know
normally say
I'm a bit,
if
I know I do
if
do
things
that.
are going your way, you are probably on the wrong lane. Yeah, if you are driving, you realize every vehicle is heading towards you. Every vehicle is heading your way. Chances are umevuka ile avenue ingine, you are in the wrong lane. So there has to be days, especially for purposes of your development of your mental fortitude. You need to have things
Mm,
going wrong in spectacular manner so
yes,
that it's like your mental gym. So something for your mental muscles to develop by pushing through. If everything goes your way every time, are you not becoming weak?
very
Your
weak.
mental
Yeah,
fortitude is literally an exhibit. Let's say you've been having things your way for the last 20 years. Then that means the first time something will go wrong, will collapse. So that is nature's way of just ensuring that uh, you don't go extinct.
mm,
Hmm. Can you imagine if you talk Lote family karibu sana, those lions that are in a zoo that are used to
mhm.
being thrown chunks of meat, put them in a place where they have to compete, with you're not just hunting, you are competing with other lion prides for territory. What's going to happen? In the zoo, there are no prides to compete for resources over. Chunks of meat are thrown at you. Take it to Masai Mara, where there are multiple herds, prides of lions all over.
I actually wonder
You-
if those animals that have been in the zoo for a better part of their own life, if you end up releasing them out in the wild, would they even survive? Would they even know how to? It's like
they'll
they,
be very, very dangerous to human beings.
Mhm,
Because majority of the wild animals in the wild have I call some certain innate fear for humans. They really don't want to mix with humans very much because there's
mhm.
what we call uh, ingrained intelligence. They know that when you kill a human, another group of humans will come after you and kill you. And as much as I'm not giving you a permit to go dance around with the lion, but most of the time they tend to stay away. That's why you never see a lion in gets into human habitats. They say it's a stray.
Mhm.
It's a
Yes.
stray. They tend to avoid because That innate tells them that when we kill one of these guys, 10 or 15 of them will come back and kill us. In fact, some of them, there's that video which we saw lions feasting on some creature. Then these Maasai just walked up to them, and this
Yeah,
lion
I
ran
saw that.
away. Yeah. So there's this. It's
Yeah,
called innate intelligence. These people, as much as they are not physically strong, there's something weird about them. You kill one, 50 of them will come back and screw around with us. So let's stick to these wild animals. Or, for example, if you compare a buffalo and a goat, a buffalo is very hard to kill than a goat. But a lion knows if it goes kills a goat, the goat owners will be on their neck. These guys will come down after us like nobody's business. So let's risk here with the buffaloes. At least we will fight in peace. Now, you compare the lion that is used to staying in the zoo. It is used to human interactions. It is used to seeing these two-legged creatures milling all over it, and by some quick mathematics, these things are easier to kill. These are the lions that will come. Uh, they'll come rolling back into human habitat and start floating around with us. So those are very dangerous creatures. In fact, I normally feel very disturbed when I see people driving open top jeeps near lions. So you are making these guys to be used to us.
mm,
There's a reason they are called wild animals. They find a way of interacting. Kitambo, there used to be an entire van which is covered kabisa.
yeah, yeah,
Now,
yeah.
mhm,
It's like they're exposing the van more and more.
yeah. And one day,
Imagine one.
these creatures have a certain level of intelligence. You only need one lion that is brave enough to jump and say, ah, hapana bwana, kumbe hii food inakuanga hapa na tumezuba. Hmm? Hmm. They're like, guys, hebu tuma WhatsApp message kwa WhatsApp group. Hii kitu kumbe tunakufa hapa na mabuffalo zikitusumbua na chakula inapitanga hapa kila siku.
This is the new delicacy. This is the new delicacy we need to be taking.
Delicacy. Hmm. Before there used to be
Yeah.
vans which are covered. Now people come with open top jeeps, they park next to the lion, they go around. Also, I've seen elephants chasing jeeps and whatnot. I
Mm.
really agitating these creatures. What if one day these creatures develop some form of intelligence and waylay you? Unafukuzwa hivi, kumbe wengine imewangojea nyuma. Semeni sasa. Nyinyi ndio mnakuja kutusumbua hapa. So
Yeah.
anyway,
So adversity is definitely part of our lives, and I guess particularly for the man,
hmm,
um, we are what's the term? Is it beasts of burden, if you may
yes,
term it, or rather, it's by design that life was meant to have adverse experiences, and it's out of that. Even as I say it, you know, it's one thing to be aware of it and acknowledge it, um, but it's one thing also to be prepared and to live through it and accept it.
yeah.
So yes, it's definitely the thing that prepares us, to, as you say, to build that mental fortitude and strength
Hmm.
that we need. I always remember this comment that Kibe always say. He always says, because people come in, because we're now in a world where people are so entitled. We are running away from problems. But he said, don't you think the most valuable person is the person that is a good problem solver, that seeks to confront problems rather than one that because
Runs away.
if you're ready to contend with problems, and there'll be different types of problems, and it's almost in every level that you grow. You think that once you've probably acquired a particular net worth, that problems will be the end of you won't be experiencing them anymore. Rather, there
You
will be a
see,
new set
that,
of
that
problems that you can encounter at that level.
unless maybe you inherited money or you you did some shady deals here and there. That elevation of your net worth came about from confronting a certain problem or a certain set of problems and making money from solving them. So at that level, you are even more relaxed around problems. You never see a problem. Say, this is a money making, so this is a money, this is an opportunity to make money. Uh,
Opportunity.
because that problem solving muscle memory is there. You go, so let's
Mm-hmm.
say you go to, you are traveling somewhere, you go to a certain point, you realize, hii place mbona hakuna soda fulani, or there are no services here. Somebody is complaining about the services. You are think of setting up expanding your distribution network or distribution uh, of a certain product to that particular place. Somebody is making noise, you are busy making phone call. Oe, mtua, hii place inashidwa na hakuna wifi services. You only have one wifi provider. He has a monopoly and is screwing things up. Hebu tufanye one two tulete more providers here. You're making money from there. If you end
Mm-hmm.
a very common case in terms of confronting problems head on. Whenever there's a accident, some of these gruesome accidents, it is men who step up. That place looks crazy, but we see men with axes and chains trying to save people or recover the deceased ones and whatnot. It is men who step up. No need to put down our ladies, but I've never seen ladies engaging such kind of rescue. And I've been okay. I didn't take part in the rescue, but I was somewhere in Mombasa. An accident occurred within seconds of me being there, and I tell you, those guys who do rescue, their hearts are, I think, hearts of steel. Me, I got rooted there for a few seconds, fighting to keep my knees from turning into jelly. Although on the outside I was
Mm-hmm.
looking very stoic, but in Ukundani I was like, hey, hey, this is this is crap. Now imagine the guys who are within seconds they are there pulling and tagging and the women were there were crying for the men. Hey, wanaume tusaidie. Feminist mko wapi? So this is part of the masculinity mindset, and also apart from that, uh, looking at opportunities that are available. And talking of opportunities, I took part in a space. I think it is on somewhere in the middle of the week, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody put me to task asking about Valentine's Day. Told them Valentine's Day is a commercial affair. It is you
Mm.
to decide which part of the commercial equation are you on.
You want to be in.
There,
Exactly. That's
there is
really
part of
interesting.
the equation where somebody is making calls somewhere to supply those Valentine cards. Somebody is supplying gifts. Somebody, this idea just came up, especially for people who are good at interior designs. Talk to Airbnb owners for what we call temporary Valentine themed fittings so that your Airbnb can score more hits.
Yes.
Supply, maybe for a restaurant, supply of wine that is themed or colored with red or whatnot, just Valentine oriented product or service supply. Then there are people on the other side of the equation whose pockets are being bombarded in exchange for 10 minutes of sex. So you choose which side of the equation are you going to be.
Going to
And
be. Yeah.
maybe I'm thinking too deep, but there's a possibility made somebody on the correct commercial side of the equation started
Oh
doing
yeah.
some mathematics for this thing as early as September last year.
Yeah.
Because in
You know.
September, if you are
Mhm.
getting Valentine cards, maybe you are importing Valentine cards and you are in September and Valentine's fall, they'll be cheaper. So you buy like 500 cards at 20 shillings per piece. Then you're going to sell them at 100 shillings. So that whoever sells them at 50. So from 20 shillings, you're making 80 shillings. And maybe you've bought 1,000 pieces or 2,000, targeting all supermarket outlets, nini, kila kitu, stuff like that. Some of these fancy Valentine presents, you made an order on Alibaba. Since Valentine's are far away, a bulk order of 30,000 pieces. purchasing them at $1.20 per piece. By the time you get to Valentine's Day, their prices will be a bit elevated, at least for a day. So there are people who are doing this mathematics. Come September this year or October this year, that same people will be making those same kinds of uh, of mathematics preparation for next year's Valentine's. So at the end of the day, you make a decision which side of the equation are you on. And I
Yeah,
tend to believe that some of these things that we see happen superficially. Someone planned 4 to 6 months before, because people are analyzing the spending crazes. This time they're spending. Now Easter is on the way. What are we up to? Easter eggs. Let's import them. Easter eggs maybe got imported in December. Those artificial Easter eggs. Yeah, they import somebody imported and has imported an entire container in December plus all manner of Easter gifts and whatnot, and is targeting these outlets. So it's up to you decide which part of the equation are you going to be.
yeah, that's a brilliant question, and it's good to look at it. I mean, as much as you might not really believe in these events, um, for you, you need to just look at the commercial element of it because that's a reality that we live in. So I'll give you an example. Actually, earlier this week, the Rotary Club that I'm part of did its first Valentine's Day dinner, especially for its members. Of course, the members were encouraged to come with their boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, wives, um, friends, family members, to just celebrate. And I was actually honored to have been the first to have been invited to play for them jazz because we had a jazz themed Valentine's Day. So for me, it was a gain because one, I got to practice a new skill that I'm trying to expand in, and then it is also a money
You play
making
the
venture.
saxophone.
No, I don't play the saxophone, so I was like a DJ. So
Oh,
I
nice, nice, nice. Now
uh,
that's a niche for you. You could be the first first jazz DJ in East Africa, Eastern Africa.
yes,
And the beautiful thing about jazz is not something that you play in a pub or some dingy smoke field. Jazz
yes,
played for the movers and the shakers, the big wigs, the head honchos.
yes, yes.
So I think you should run with this. This is something where you could play even for presidents when we have the so-called East Africa Legislative Assembly. You could be the resident DJ. Now, see, initially people would say, "What is a DJ doing in mkutano wa watu wakubwa?" Then no, this is not that of kibamba wapi nduru piperepe. No, this is a jazz DJ. That's weird stuff. Kibamba wapi wewe? No, 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 no. No, that's somewhere else. This is a DJ that plays for the big wigs. He does jazz.
Mm,
So I think you should simply run with it. Invest in equipment, nini, kila kitu,
yes,
whatnot, and
yes,
run with
exactly
that.
what
Run
I'm
with that.
doing.
Mm.
I'm now trying
Something
to learn
similar
more
to
the
this.
the sort of
There's
Mhm,
these
go ahead.
guys who they are like DJs, but they play for huge crowds. They are from Sweden, I think. It's a Swedish type of genre. Think house
Mm,
music. I think
yeah, yeah.
house music.
South Africa,
Yeah,
the track
house
called Black
house
Coffee.
music.
House
It's normally
music, yeah,
guys from Sweden or the Scandinavian region who do that. So
deep
this is
house.
a niche. I don't know, but I've never heard of a jazz DJ. Never heard of one. That this is something. Now you are playing for big wigs. You are playing for people who sign the big dollars and whatnot. So big up to you. Please run with it. Run with it. Like there's a guy in Spain. He's the most extraordinary DJ I've ever seen. The only DJ in
Mhm.
the world that plays with the cassettes.
Oh wow,
Uh,
still doing cassette.
yeah, it's unique. He plays with cassettes, and he does it so well. And he's, I think you need to bring him in when you have him in your venue. You need, I think, $10,000. per
Oh wow.
per session because he's the most unique. His sound is perfect. No CDs, just he plays. He has his system where he loads various like 10 to 15 cassettes, starts them off, then he does his magic. So it's all about identifying a niche.
Oh, I'll look him up. I'll look him up. I'm now
Let me
following
see if
quite
I
a number.
can. I'll send you the link later if I can just maybe.
I mean, I do
Uh,
know now, which is also, with vinyl coming back, there's been
hmm,
a bit of a revival, a resurgence of vinyl.
hmm,
So there are people that understand actually DJ Adrian
hmm,
still DJs with vinyls. So
hmm,
yeah, this is a very unique approach. I want to really learn the craft, make investment, get the controller.
hmm,
At the moment, I want to just understand how to use the software controller itself,
hmm.
and then build on that. But I think, uh, God willing, next month I should be buying a new. I should be buying a DJ controller so that boom. I need to get into this thing. If I
Yeah,
can be
get in
doing
there.
it,
You never know. Maybe that would be the one. You'd be the only DJ that charges maybe 2 million shillings per appearance because you play to the top dogs. So uh,
mm,
the days of imagining that a work day means you sitting on the office from 8 a.m. to 5, I think is going out of. It's going out of it. I think it went out of style ages ago. Like
mm,
sometimes when I'm doing my work, can wake up at 4, I push on, then I feel I'm tired. My neighbors are preparing to go to work. They hear me playing a movie at 7. They was like, what's this motherfucker doing? So the days
and
of
he still can afford to live. Is
uh,
he a wash guy or what is he? This guy
yeah,
has
man,
some drug.
what's it? The only good thing is that I don't walk around with bling bling or drive a big car or whatnot. Um, I'm okay. I'm just there. But there are days I wake up at 4. I crunch. Nasikia nimechoka choka. I have a series with 10 episodes. I watch two. Let me watch one episode of 45 minutes. So like you may find like 7:30. Shoot out. Jamani, angalia movie. How? So the days of you know by 7 you should be on the bus stage, you should be on the train. I don't know, but no, things have changed, and you know we no longer, it's like saying that for me to send you a message I have to write on a piece of paper, put in an envelope, leak a rubber leak, what's that thing called, a stamp, nibandiki hapo, then I put SLP, sanduku la posta, and then go to, change is universal. It has to. We have to embrace it. We have to embrace it. We have to embrace the change. What has to be maintained is the work ethic. Just do good work.
Mhm,
Even if it does some weird schedules, ensure that your output, at the very least, is acceptable. But it's about embracing change. That's it.
mhm.
So, what's
That's true.
the buzzword right now is the so-called Kenya shilling. What do you make of it? Whenever I look at this thing, I just see
Mhm.
jargon, and I never did economics. And whenever I look at
Yeah.
this stuff, I'm like, what are these people saying? I don't. Hmm?
Yeah, I
What do
actually
you
have
make
a
of it?
brother who is, and I'm always, I think some careers, have built a history of, and when you think of lawyers,
Hmm.
you know, they've created a mystique around their profession, and much of it and the exclusivity that they add onto it is to be able to justify some of their hefty fees that they then levy to their customers. So, you know, I shared something with you, and then I remember when somebody commented, "Can somebody just simplify this thing for
Yeah,
us?"
I read it. I was like, oh,
What are you trying to communicate?
I read it.
And
Then
and
for a while, I thought, am I stupid or what? Kizungu sijui. She's like, you start even doubting yourself.
exactly.
Hmm.
and it is something that they are putting out publicly.
mm,
I mean, if there's something I know, even as a tech guy,
mm,
whenever I'm trying to engage with a user,
mm.
is I have to be cognizant that I don't get myself caught up in the jargon, that I try to simplify, because that's what communication is, at the heart of
Explain it
communication.
like you're doing it to a 4-year-old.
Exactly.
Mm.
Talk to me like a 4 year old.
Yeah.
Make it simple. Don't add big words. Sometimes the people that end up putting a lot of this fluffy, nice vocabulary, it's just some level of conmanship that they are trying to push at you. So it's interesting.
I've been
I
seeing.
think my understanding of the situation, and there's actually a very brilliant guy on YouTube. I think it's called Lewin something, or Ouya. I do like his approach, because he does. I don't know if you've ever met. Have you checked his YouTube?
It's called who?
He speaks Swahili. Let me try and show you.
Because I normally say that when you're using a very difficult language, chances are either you're hiding things from me or you don't know what you're saying.
So let me share a few seconds of his stuff so that you get to see him. Um, I follow him also. Is quite interesting, particularly when you're getting into this online business kind of. So this is the guy. Just listen to his
I
how
know
he's
him.
engaged.
Leo nataka kuexplainia mbona bei ya dola imeshuka na nini inaweza fanya ishuke ama ipande. So let's assume hii ni Kenya, tuko na dola na tuko na Kenya shillings.
So I won't do much more. I think I noticed some of these things get tagged as copyright, but
Oh,
yes, you saw how he started.
mm,
Is very much in Swahili, is because he knows his target market is Kenyans,
mm,
either Kenyans in Kenya or
mm,
Kenyans in the diaspora, and he's talking to them in a language that they communicate with each other, which is Swahili with Sheng, with some English in it. It's the day to day language that we engage in. It's not, you know, any of this complex. So I don't know. What's your take on why we saw that um, depreciation of the dollar against the shilling?
me, I'll always say the only way we'll gain against the dollar if we consume less of it. And I think we've gone over and over on not even about industries or manufacturing, just policies that will see us toning down our consumption of dollars, especially the petrodollar. So anything other than that, I would put it as a magic trick, like pulling a rabbit out of your hat. You know very well maybe that rabbit was already there, or the rabbit is simply a hologram. As
Yeah,
long as there is
100%.
that day-to-day consumption of dollar remains the same, hii ingine becomes we are just looking at a hologram, as they used
Yeah.
to say
So yeah, I do
during that
agree
time,
with this.
the court
Mhm.
case, hot air. Because um, and funny enough, like when we talk, we say this is the policies that need to be adopted to tone down the dollar consumption. Very simple language. Do this, so that we reduce the consumption. But these other guys, when they put their stuff on the media, I normally say the best way to present something, present in such a way that at the end of the presentation there are minimum number of questions. Minimum. But here it makes you, apart from you even doubt yourself. Is it the English that is poor, or am I stupid? Or there you really mpaka nikasema we muende kule mtaenda now. If what I know, is it permanent? Is there a downward uh, trend in our dollar consumption? Or umemanipulate vitu tu, mmecheza cheza na vitu fulani hapo, sijui shilling demand, sijui nini, shilling demand by who? Who needs Kenya shillings, by the way? Who needs Kenya shillings on a long-term basis? It's only us. It's
Actually,
the
the question that I would want to ask, when the last regime left,
hmm,
it is the Uhuru government, the
hmm,
Uhuru administration,
hmm,
and then we ushered in this new administration.
hmm.
What has dramatically changed to justify this appreciation of the
Yeah.
dollar? I think at the time Uhuru was leaving, it was at about 120. Before, the dollar used to be between 100 and something to 110. It
Hmm,
was probably at the tail end as we were getting into the election and then eventually inaugurating the new government that we saw that uh, when it began to appreciate. And then from there, it just started to skyrocket. For it to now finally settle around 150, it was 150 for a while. It then breached the 160 point. Uh, and there's already now speculation it might hit 200. So,
in I'm
what
seeing
has fundamentally changed
in
within a
2021.
period of about a year to justify it? It would be good to see that gradual growth, maybe in a period of 3 to 5 years,
Hmm,
but to see that exponential growth within, it wasn't even in a year by the time it was hitting 150 to now breaching 160. So within a period of a year, when a new government came in place, what has result result into, or rather caused, this high increase? Now, so there's that question, but there's also the other of, again, this hasn't been also purely a Kenyan thing. There is a Kenyan element to it and the dynamics that our economy is in, but there's also now the global issue about it. But if you remove the global element, what has caused this high appreciation of the dollar within a period of a year? So that's a question that I was asking. What is it that this new administration has done that is so fundamentally different that has, you know, brought about this?
yeah, so you see, you have to have done something really magical for you to cause such a dip, and either it is something truly magical or a magic trick, because manufacturing, nothing outstanding has happened.
Hmm.
Uh, we've had a few, two, three organizations here have adopted use of electric vehicles, but the use is not so huge that
Yeah.
it has caused a downtown
But
in consumption of the
yes.
petrodollar. No, because Nairobi is still noisy with the
Yeah.
usual matatus. And
Yeah.
what else? Uh, we are still importing a lot of stuff. There's no factory that has come in and say, okay, from now on, this import commodity is going to be assembled locally or is going to be blended locally, because such things would be in the news and the expectations. No. So that leaves us to maybe it's just another. I really don't want to speculate so much. The only thing you can be safe to say is let's wait and see. Maybe there's
No,
something they know we don't.
I think
Yeah.
what you're trying to imply is some form of artificial manipulation, and
Mm,
also that I wouldn't want to discount because we know the
mm,
players within that field. There's
mm,
that thing you call the insider trading,
mm.
and if you're within the stock
What
exchange sector,
I'm trying to
exchange.
understand. If I'm
Mhm,
to look at things in terms, let's say I want to put up a policy for dollar management. We import a lot of stuff from China, right?
mhm.
Why don't we import them using the Kenya shilling to yuan exchange rate instead of the dollar?
That's a good question. That's a good
Because
question.
I'm looking at the exchange rate.
Mm.
1 yuan equals to 20 shillings of Kenya. We are not doing that to sort of, I don't know if there will be any gains, but it's something to just to tone down on that dollar consumption.
Yeah.
You are
So,
different.
let's look at some of actually the reasons that have been put forth as to the
Mm,
reason why we saw the
mm,
reason depreciation of the
mm,
dollar.
mm,
So, number one, they say the government flaunted an infrastructure bond,
mm,
and it was actually oversubscribed. It was
mm,
set to generate about 70 billion, but
mm,
I think there was up to an oversubscription of about up to 240 billion. And
mm,
much of this is foreign investors. Some of these foreign investors could be Kenyans in the diaspora or institutional
mm,
investors outside the country. And
mm,
typically, they will then be bringing more inflows of dollars. So, part of the reason why also the dollar has been high is, I think, to some degree, there's a scarcity that has also been created. A lot of the people that have the dollars have been hoarding because of the expected appreciation of it. Expecting to now cash in on that on that increase. Um, so there is that infrastructure bond. I do remember there was a time also the CBK governor said that before the policy of the government was to officially prop up the shilling, and they said that they will no longer be using that approach. This new administration said, no, let the shilling experience the factors of the open market, whatever that might be. So there will be no artificial control of the shilling to ensure that it doesn't go certain past certain levels. And somebody actually even posted. I'll try and see if I can pull that out. Um,
There's a comment here by Lute family. The reasons why we
yeah,
cannot trade against the yuan is that they control their. So that means the Chinese will not agree to trade with us against the yuan, or what is going on?
yeah. I think China at the moment controls the highest US dollar reserves. So one of the reasons, because them they are an export country, they would undervalue their own shilling. So even for us, if the shilling was lower
Hmm.
and we export more, it will be to our benefit.
Our benefit.
Means we are producing stuff that we are now selling in
Hmm.
dollars
So
outside
that
of
we
the
get
Kenyan,
more dollars.
that we get more dollars, which is to our own benefit.
Hmm.
The yuan will still be beneficial because we are producing locally and selling locally. So whatever happens with the dollar will not be a big effect. We are not importing a lot. We are exporting. So yes. So maybe maybe what needs to be questioned is this current policy of not propping the shilling. Is it good for us? I think in the meantime, being an import biased country, I think it works against us to not prop up the shilling, because then that means the shilling can buy less instead of buying more because it will have depreciated. But up until the point where we begin to increase our exports, then at that point, maybe the current policy for the government makes sense. And then maybe these are the queries that government needs to be put to task about. I mean, yes, the shilling has now depreciated because we've had more inflows of dollars, but will that sustain for long? Actually,
Yeah.
I
How
noted
long
my
is how
along
long
with
will
that,
that follow?
maybe for about a week or so, we'll have the dollar 140,
Hmm.
and after that, dollars will have flown
Because
into the market.
once the bond is floating, the bond floating is just a one-off.
It's a one-off.
Huh? It's a one-off. It's not something that is continuing month in, month out. Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm. So Then, if you have to say, before we even go to shifting from import to export oriented organization country, why don't we even go to import flow management? That flow of material that we are importing, we work on targets. This year, reducing it by 30%. Next year, 35%. We let's have targets on volume being imported. We start in simple terms. Can it be assembled locally? Can it be blended locally? Look at there's so much stuff that is being brought in. Can it be assembled locally? You can even talk to whoever is supplying them. Can we set you for you up sites for you to do your assembly locally? Some very friendly terms, so that rather than sending us as full product, send it in dismantled form, train our people to put it together, so that we are spending those dollars that are expended in putting that stuff together overseas, the cost turns into shillings in terms of the salaries we spend to our workers assembling it locally. That is my
And
non-expert.
also what that bond also did, over and above the people bringing in the dollars to
Mm,
invest,
mm.
it also prompted those that were hoarding dollars to sell their dollars.
So the
So
dollar became somehow common for that period of time.
yes, so it didn't become scarce as it was, because part of its appreciation is a
Mm,
scarcity that has been created by those hoarding, and then
mm,
of course because of its high demand that we need it for to support our consumption.
mm.
Um, and then three, the current policy that the CBK has adopted in terms of not propping up the shilling. And then four could be other now geopolitical global factors that have affected it, as because it's not just purely an issue with Kenya. It has impacted other countries. They have also seen their own currencies depreciate against the dollar. Um, yes, so I think what the government has control of is the policy that CBK adopts, and then two, taking steps towards reducing that dependency of the dollar. We know it can't happen overnight, but we need to see steps being taken towards that goal. And I think that's and I don't know, maybe this government, and I think rightfully so, um, definitely seems to be clueless. I don't think many of it's the steps that it's taking are making any sense. You've been in government for a year. I think the best we've seen you do is push the can down the line by either blaming your past predecessor, or blaming one thing or the other. So it's just become a blame game. So for me, they have not inspired a lot of confidence and trust.
You
We
see,
need to see certain things. I don't expect you to change things overnight, but I need to see steps being taken that are likely to have a positive impact in the near to the long term to the long term future. So, but that's what I'm not seeing. So that's why I feel it's rightfully to assess it and say to some degree it seems clueless and doesn't
you
seem to be
see,
managing.
it's a very dangerous situation. I normally say the government is the most powerful body in the country. So when a level-headed man like Andrew Mutua says you seem clueless, that you're ni hatari bwana. This is not a drunkard talking. This is a level-headed motherfucker, and he's telling you,
Yeah,
nyinyi ni kama nikiwaangalia. You guys are simply
yeah,
shopping around and just doing some piki pong
exactly.
and just hebu tujaribu hii. It's like you're seeing a fundi repairing your car and you're telling me you see him putting this anatoa rudisha hii. Sema, boss, unajua kitu unafanya lakini ama hii gari inakaa itatoka hapa leo. So you see some of these things we talk. In fact, that that thing of truck on train, I shared it somewhere, and this guy said this thing can work. I shared it somewhere in another group. This can work. because we did a bit of napkin mathematics, like a truck moving up from Mombasa to Nairobi. Let's say it's going to a warehouse in industrial area. That means it will be low. It will drive from Mombasa to say Miritini, a few kilometers. Then it will switch off. It will be carried to Nairobi, then disembark at Embakasi and drive to industrial area. A total of around maybe 30, 40 kilometers. There's money, the money that they'll pay to the train is obviously less than the money they spend on diesel. And the actual diesel volume consumption for the truck is very low because the movement is just less than 40 kilometers. And the dollars they are spending on maintaining that truck, the bushes, the springs, nini, those they are imported in dollars. So if the journey or the operation of the vehicle for from Mombasa to Nairobi, the vehicle operation is reduced by over 90%. We are expecting 90% reduction in service costs. Yeah. So we are saying if the journey operation, if the actual vehicle operation is reduced by over 90% because the vehicle is carried when it is shut down, that means the service cost of that vehicle will reduce by 90%. Now, 90% reduction in cost of this filter, oil filter, diesel filter, air filters, springs, nini. Now, multiply that 90% reduction by, let's say, 1,000 trucks over a week. Tell me if that is not going to affect the dollar. So I shared it somewhere. We did some quick makaratasi mathematics. Sema, ai bwana, hii inaweza fanya bwana. So
Yes.
if and other these and other kind of things are not happening, that means whatever is going on is like what we used to see when I was small. There was this program called Kiini Macho, somebody doing some
Keep
magic tricks.
like this. Yeah.
What we are seeing is some sort of Kiini Macho. That is why nobody wants to explain it in such a way that a shoe shiner will understand this thing. Jargon is being thrown all over the. But then again, as we normally say, tunawatakia kila laheri. I hope it works over the long term. If by say June tuko hapa 140, we say kudos. You knew more than me. But at the
Yes.
moment, when you look at the general way of doing things, our import volume, our policies, it's really scary that someone will want to engage in such kind of these are practices that will benefit a few people because you normally say, "Oh, I'm foreseeing people being billionaires shortly," which is okay, good for them. But as far as the mwananchi that is supposed to be on the receiving end of good governance, I think this is simply what we call corporate hoodwinking. That's my take on it. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I don't understand even what Lut is saying here, hedging against their housing. So is their housing sort of the you mean the real estate in China
Hmm.
is used as some kind of, is it like when he says hedging, and Lut, maybe you can respond if you're still online.
Hmm.
What do you mean by they have their currency, they undervalue but hedge it against their housing? So is it using
And
housing
maybe
as a
they
collateral?
can shed some light because I know in China we have these things
Explain.
called ghost. You've seen those Chinese ghost cities
Yeah.
where they built a lot
Yes.
of. It's like an entire town, but nobody's there.
Nobody. I saw
I don't.
them pull those down.
They pull them down.
Demolished. Yeah, there are a number of them that
Hmm.
got demolished.
So is it because they pumped a lot of money into those build and destroy projects to sort of weaken their shilling or their yuan, or what are they doing? Because what I know is that those guys are very good at protecting their systems. That's what I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ours, we tend to let our systems. In fact, ours is the exact opposite. We are exposing ourselves to all sorts of
100%. Yes.
mm, yeah, and the opposite. Mm,
I mean, I hear people push this thing they call globalization.
mm.
But when you do that, particularly if you're a weak country, you're just putting yourself under the mercy of the giants. And the giants will just but crush you.
This thing. What you are saying
Yeah,
was
protection.
said in the 60s. I saw that video by Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. Said, what is this
Mm.
globalization? So yeah, you like say Senegal or Chad, at unaingia pale globalization is like a featherweight going toe to toe with a super heavyweight. How? Huh?
100%. We are not at the same level.
So at the global market with America, it will work if each of us is putting something on the table. America is making vehicles, we are producing the microchips for those engine control units. We have something, we have a gun on each other's heads. Ukichezea ukipiga mi napiga. But these guys are holding a machine gun. You've come with a bow and arrow in form of I don't know coffee. I don't know coffee is it tea. When Egypt says you're not buying your tea, tunaanza kunyamba nyamba hapa. Which
I mean, just
globalization?
we were talking about the other day, we were talking about the concept of data sovereignty and
Yeah.
just the whole idea of local
Yes.
hosting.
Mm.
And it's as we looked at it, it's a no-brainer. This is not
They shut
rockets.
down AWS. Shut down. We can't even communicate here. Mm.
Exactly.
Mm. Hii space imeenda.
It is it is just those little policies to
Mm.
say no. If the internet outside of Kenya goes down,
Mm.
the people in Kenya are still self-sufficient. They'll still do their e-citizens, they'll still
Yes.
do their email service, they'll still
Mm.
be able to communicate. They have got
Mm.
their own local content. I remember actually when there was this big push of the undersea fiber cable when it first landed in Mombasa. I
Mm.
mean, the big goal then was to lay fiber all across
Mm.
the country. And I think this is one of the big things Bitang and Demo did,
Mm.
pushing for the undersea cable and then also for making the entire country, have fiber cable. But the bigger thing then was we need to generate our
Data.
own local content.
Data
Where
protection. Data
where is
banks.
that local content sitting? It's probably sitting in a YouTube somewhere. It's probably sitting in a Twitter somewhere. Businesses, if they're thinking of getting any productivity software or solutions, they're thinking of a Google apps or Office 365, which are services that are outside of our bounds.
So, for
So
example, our
these are
banking
some
system.
very practical steps that the government can make a decision today and
Mm.
begin implementing
Yes, you
as of
just have
Monday
to.
going.
You just go to China and buy those giant bank of hard disks, those servers. It comes with the integrated cooling system, kila kitu. Place it in a desert where there's a lot of sun, and put KDF to protect it physically.
100%,
Mm.
100%. And I think they put them in like these containers. So these are
Yeah,
things that you can fabricate.
ni plug and play.
Turkana should be the area that is hosting many of these data centers. Or
Yes.
we should even be having most of our developers now sitting somewhere
Mm.
instead of all of them congesting in Nairobi and
Congested in
Mombasa.
Nairobi are making I don't
In
know
Turkana,
apps for view
just
supermarket and weird. And in fact, I asked someone, sasa hizi app mnatengeza. So people are making apps that are copycat of apps that are already existing. So, so utengeze kitu that suits you.
there's actually a very perfect video from Vusi about the
Mm,
apps.
mm,
Because he said, already a lot of our minds, and,
mm,
and, and this is the reason why, actually, as we are saying, why protectionism is so important. I
mm,
remember actually one time I visited Addis in Ethiopia.
mm,
Literally, if you go to Addis, it's a very insular kind of a country. It looks
mm,
within in many ways.
mm,
If you go to a restaurant, the people playing, the music being played in many cases is just local music. There's a live band. There's almost a live performance, even in the smallest of restaurants. That was something that I found quite interesting. They speak their own language. They've got their own alphabet. They've got their own form of calendar. Eh? So I think this year we confirmed this could be what 2016 or 20 something.
They're in
Several
2016.
years. They're in 2016. So these are the things that we should have. And we were talking about, I think in another space we were talking about language and culture and all this, and just see how we've lost a lot of our culture. Because somebody now in Kenya, I bet they're renewing their Netflix subscription.
Mm.
They have got a Google account. They're trying to talk like an American. They're already, their minds are already oriented to the
Why?
West.
Why are they talking
So
like an
anyway,
American?
because that's what they watch. They listen to American music. They watch American programs. So anyway,
You
what this
see,
guy was
that's
trying to
that's
say
the
was
that's the difference
our mind.
between that's the difference between us and India. The British went to India. When they left India and said, "Okay, you guys are very industrious and whatnot. We'll copy your industry, but we'll keep our culture." Kenya,
Yes,
the same British came to Kenya. When they left, will say, "Ah, very good. Listen, you go away with your systems. We'll keep your language and mannerism, plus the
and related.
notion that ukiongea kizungu mzuri, wewe ndio unajua. Look at us now.
Look at
Look at
us.
us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So actually, Busi, what he was saying, and apologies for being a bit long-winded on that. So what he was saying, because already our minds, the way they are already oriented to
Mm,
the West, we tend to even
mm,
produce applications
mm.
oriented to that, to that world or that reality. While when you get outside of your door, you're dealing with potholes, you're dealing with irregular power, you're dealing with a lack
Water.
of water, you're dealing with all these basic issues that are so real to you. Yet, so it's like Africans, particularly those living in major cities across the continent, are living two dual lives. A big section of their mental element thinks and operates like somebody who's living in New York. But another part of that reality is somebody who drives through potholes, is somebody who lives in a house with no electricity, is somebody who has all these real problems, which we have not focused ourselves in enough to resolve them.
You are
Yeah,
paying
and I
you are paying
mm,
taxes, then you have to pay extra money for a watchman. Because you know very well, Sharif Mustafa karibu sana. I want to first make a shout out to Sharif Mustafa. We
mhm.
got stuck yesterday but one on matters concerning the bike. There was a very serious problem of incompatibility, and there was a mix up on the teamwork, which I take responsibility. I'm the one heading the team, and we got to a point where there's something I forgot that I had to be reminded by my electrical technician. I nearly smashed my phone on the floor, but then again I said, "Hey, listen, this is the joy of being the leader. When things go well, it's teamwork. When a fuck up continues, it's me." So I took one on the chin, reached out to Sharif Mustafa. He was able to sort of get us moving shortly. And I remembered what uh, I think Vusi said. When it's a win, it's a team. But when things go wrong, he's only the CEO.
Yeah,
And
you
you end
take
up,
you take
yeah, you take one for the, and I said, I remember holding my phone like this. I wanted to, like, fuck. I said, oh, you're in charge. It's your project. So if you smash your phone, you're adding another expense of buying a new phone. So you just take it on the chin. One of the joys of being a leader. That's why I have problems with some of our countrymen. They are in these top positions, riding in stretch limos and VX and whatnot. It's okay, ride in that, But be in a position whereby you take the hits now. There's a reason as to why big people ride in big cars and plush offices, because their decision makings determine how far we go.
No,
So,
that
uh,
privilege we afford them is for a reason.
for a reason, we ride you
And
in
I'll,
we
I'll
put
give you,
in that air conditioned office, and that car, when you are driving to the office, we clear the road for you. Hii
yes,
ndio akili ya
because you
taifa
have
iko hapo. Wacha ifike kazini on time, afanye kazi. But you are at a
we don't
point
want you
where
to start complaining that I didn't have my car was
eh,
faulty. I'm no,
na
no,
pia
no. That should not be. We
tumekufungulia
want you to
barabara
focus on the bigger problem. Exactly.
ndo utoke from home to work bila interruptions. But it has come to, it's like it is those motorcades and privileges are like the end of everything. Yani hiyo ndo imekuleta hapa.
Yeah.
It's quite unfortunate, but
Yeah.
that's the thing. So what Vusi was saying, like somebody in charge of a fund worth $400 billion, and he has a team. It only takes one team member to fuck up for him to be fired. The people that those directors he talks to don't care about the team; they see you. A team member fucks up like the fuck up that took place in my team. That was on me. Why didn't I get that electrician there? So what we've done, the electrician will be there from next Saturday, because I don't have him on a retainer. I can't afford to put him on a retainer. I say, okay, when are you available? He'll be available next Saturday. Now, I've paid money to the relevant people. They are on, the instruction is, do not start until our electrician is there. Now, this is something I should have done ages ago. It has come to whip me, and it's a hit I'm taking. The thing about leadership, you take that's why in these setups we have the president, these CEOs riding in these giant vehicles and helicopters, so that you can have your meetings arakaraka nini whatnot. Let's listen to Vusi briefly.
Yeah. So you can see the title here is First World Apps
Hmm.
in Third World Countries.
Hmm.
I worry about how many of us are making apps. I think there are too many of us making apps, guys. I think too many of us watch Netflix. And so sometimes you kind of forget that this is not Manhattan. So what we're doing is we're solving first world problems, but you live in a third world context. There's a kid right now somewhere writing an app about dating, but the road he lives in has potholes. Sometimes I think we just got to fix the problems of where we are, not the problems of where we wished we were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't say it any better.
There's
Couldn't say it any
there's
better.
some guys in the US, they came up with a technology. Is a system for filling potholes that works so well that the road looks brand new. Not wachana hii yetu ambao filling during campaign period. Alafu mvua, when the rain comes, now the road is even worse than this is a legit uh, pothole filling technology that we could use. Uh, a friend of mine was in, I think, in Kilifi with some Japanese. They were building where there's a Maram Road. They were making tarmac using some material that is filled in magunia. Wanajaza magunia, then those gunias are flattened, they are put in the road, then a layer is put on top. An extremely simplistic way of making roads. And for in those interior areas, you also have brick roads. What I love about the brick roads is, the process of brick making is very manual. So at county level, these are roads that will employ a lot of people in the brick making pub. So the time of acquiring the bricks, you outsource it, but then again, you must have somebody from the top monitoring the quality control process. When bricks are made poorly, they crumble under weight. So this simplistic method is what I think me and you, Andrew, the things we discuss here, I think we should be having a motorcade of our own, plus helicopter. We should not be riding in few
Exactly.
anything. Mm. So I think 1 hour 4 minutes of pure brainstorming. Thank you Root
Yeah, that was
family, Sharif Mustafa, late entry but bado tunakushukuru sana. Thank you very much. Big up for your support on the other side. Nasema asante. So my able host, you have something to say before I say adios?
I think we've said it all for the day. So
Okay.
it will be a
You
good
can
time now
say
to
adios.
see you.
See ya.